Well, I mean, most people say they're against negative ads, but they actually are really influenced by them. It's the reason why people actually do them. You know, people say that we don't like negativity in politics, but negativity in politics actually gets our attention. You know, it gives us a contrast between candidates, gives us something to viscerally respond to, especially if the negative ads are reinforced or reinforcing the views that we have beforehand. If you take a look at some of the past campaigns and presidential elections, you know, let's say John Kerry as a flip-flopper, you know, people was reinforcing what people thought about him. Same sort of thing with Mitt Romney right now. You know, has a hard time connecting with people, and so if you have an ad that negatively portrays him as an out-of-touch millionaire, that actually resonates. So negative advertising, we all hate it, and it works, and that's why it happens in campaigns. The super PACs are kind of operating on steroids right now. I mean, you have like a multi-millionaire dumping in millions of dollars for Newt Gingrich's campaign without, of course, having any contact with the campaign. So what they're actually doing right now is fueling this incredible barrage of negative ads that are happening from primary state to primary state. So essentially, they're providing all the entertainment. You know, it's kind of like the way campaigns used to work. It was just, you know, you had unlimited amounts of money that an individual candidate could spend from their campaign. Now with campaign finance laws, the candidates are restrained, but with the Supreme Court's rulings, everybody else can spend as much money as they want as long as they're not, you know, tied to the campaign itself. So basically, it's kind of like this is a free-for-all out there, and who knows where it's going to lead. Probably more and more money, more and more negative campaigns, and for political junkies, I guess it's just more entertainment. I have no idea if it's really good for our political system. I'm not sure the advertising had that much of an impact on South Carolina. I wasn't there, so I haven't seen all the ads, though I heard it was kind of like negative ads, you know, wall to wall, you know, for hours and hours and hours. I think the biggest impact was the fact that you began to have the conservatives in the Republican Party primary electorate, who were the vast majority, 60–70% of that base, all coalescing around one candidate. You know, Rick Perry disappeared, Santorum began to go down, Rand Paul began going down, Michelle Bachmann disappeared. You know, so that all of a sudden, you know, in a one-on-one race, you know, Newt Gingrich, as the beneficiary of everybody else's falling apart, was able to take a substantial amount of what is the majority of Republican primary voters. And in a one-on-one race, you know, with Mitt Romney and anti-Mitt Romney, Romney is going to win. You know, so I think the challenge for Romney right now in Florida is to figure out how to be able to coalesce people that will not listen to their ideology as much, because I don't think any of the conservatives really think of him as a conservative. They think of him as a moderate Massachusetts governor. You know, will they throw aside their ideology and say, well, he's the best guy to be able to have a chance to be able to beat Obama? If they vote with their hearts and their ideology, they'll vote against him. If they vote with their heads in terms of who's most likely to win, they'll vote with him. Well, I think as it turns into a two-man race, which I think people are seeing this is going to happen, Newt Gingrich versus Mitt Romney, just going to get uglier and uglier, because then you know who your candidate, your target is. You know, essentially, if you have to run against 6 or 7 people, it's hard to figure out who to beat up on. A lot of times, you know, in the past, if one candidate or 2 candidates are beating up on each other, all it did was help a third candidate. If your choices are 2 people, you know, Mitt Romney or Newt Gingrich, then you know exactly who to beat up on. And I think the ads will just get uglier and uglier and more entertaining. And for those of us that are not part of the process, as political junkies, it'll just be that much more entertainment on YouTube.